isn't it, Neha?
I couldn't agree more with you, Krishna. And we have the man who was instrumental in the creation of that iconic tagline right in our midst this evening, ladies and gentlemen. India's might as a nation is not only in terms of its hard power, that's economic prowess or its strong government, it goes far beyond that. And who better to talk about leveraging India's soft power than our next guest?
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Mr. Amitabh Kant.
India's G20 Sherpa, Mr. Amitabh Kant.
Requesting him to
Please have you on stage, sir, for the next session. And to conduct this session, let's invite on stage TV9 Network's Kartik Malhotra and Kartikeya Sharma.
All right, gentlemen, all yours.
As the name of the session is Brand India and Soft Power, I will not waste time and straight away ask questions to Mr. Kant. He doesn't need any introduction, but what is a soft power? How is it different from hard power? Prime Minister Narendra Modi has used parts of hard power, parts of soft power, which we call smart power. Is it Vasudev Kutumbakam? Is it Incredible India, the man who is sitting here who made the campaign? Or is it about Samman, Samvad, Samriddhi, Sanskriti, Evam Suraksha, which is part of our approach? Is it spirituality? As Barun very rightly pointed out, is it about that attractiveness, pride in India's ancient past, which is part of the Prime Minister's public diplomacy? Is it cultural circuit? Is it Ramayana circuit? Is it diaspora politics? Or is it plain, simple developmental work of Indian government, which is making schools, dams, not putting boots on ground? It's democracy, not dictatorship. So let me begin straight away, sir. You shepherded G20. Was it soft power? Was it hard power? Or was it smart power?
I think it was a blend of both the soft and the hard power. The soft power in terms of doing the G20 in over 220 different cities of India, doing it in several states of India, almost all the states and union territories of India, going back and using all our inherent cultural content. Every state brought its great art, culture, music all together, and ensuring that we are able to improve our cities during G20 in terms of drainage, sewage, solid waste, and also project India as Vasudev Kutumbakam, that is one earth, one family, one future. Because of our civilizational strength, that is, we may be, the whole world may have different political ideologies, may have different political leanings, different geographical boundaries, but we all come from one cosmos, and that cosmic power we use to really differentiate India from the rest of the world during G20.
Sir, I want to spend some more time on G20, and of course you have literally shepherded the whole G20 initiative, and in fact it went well beyond a festival. Festivals have a start time and an end time, and streets are decorated for a while. But look at New Delhi right now, for example. We are still dotted with G20. G20, thanks to you, has pretty much become part of the DNA of the country right now. Now, I want to understand from you in the context of soft power. Is soft power anything more than great packaging over a product that already is robust?
So, it's soft power is a concept which was used by an American professor.
1990.
Yeah, Joseph Nye, and he used it to say that it's not America which is famous because of its hard power, because of its economic strength, but it's famous because of its huge ability to have an impact on the minds of people across the world. And that's because of the brands it has created. In the Indian context during G20, We were able to straddle different worlds. We were able to bring G7 together. We were able to bring all the emerging markets together. We were able to bring Russia, China all together. On all 83 paras, bring consensus on all paras. It demonstrated India's great ability to work with all countries of the world and bring consensus. You know, the important thing about multilateral is nothing works without a consensus. To bring consensus on issues of development, on issues of sustainable development.
Would you call it diplomacy, sir? Would you call it soft power? What is that thin line between diplomacy and soft power?
So the thin line was, it was a great combination of India's hard power, the fact that India was growing at rapid rates. It was a great combination of unique political leadership. If it wasn't for the stature and the great standing of the Prime Minister, it would have been very difficult to get consensus in the Russia-Ukraine para. It was, you know, the great hard power of the fact that you know, we had demonstrated India's digital strength through the digital public infrastructure. You know, everybody has a digital identity. We do 46% of the real-time fast payment. The world accepted that it's leapfrog technologically in many parts, many areas of growth and progress.
Okay. You know, you made the Incredible India campaign. You rebuild the imagination around tourism. So there are two questions. One, when we talk about soft power, what are its core? And the secondly, do you feel that we have gone beyond chicken tikka masala in context of, you know, imagining India in terms of food? Because ultimately food is also part of, you know, greater lifestyle cultural projection when it comes to projecting the attractiveness of a country.
So, you know, the important thing is that you need to differentiate yourself in whatever you do. So when I started working on Kerala as a destination, Kerala was known for one product, and which was the Kovalam beach. And we went back to...
And the banana chips, sir.
Yeah, banana chips at that time. But
Since you mentioned chicken tikka masala.
We went back to the roots of Kerala. We went back to its traditional products. We went back to the inherent strength of its backwaters. We went back to its houseboats where not a single nail is used. We went back to Ayurveda. We went back to its mother of martial arts, Kalripet. We went back to its traditional architecture, Nalkittam, houses which have a unique spiritual strength. We went back, we restored all its traditional art forms from Tayyam to Kathakali to Mohiniyattam. And later when I came here and did the Incredible India brand, we went back to Ayurveda, we went back to yoga, we went back to meditation. So you need to there are 250 destinations competing with each other in the tourism marketplace. How do you differentiate yourself from the rest? You can never do it by aping the West.
Sir, but in the context of India, sorry to cut you short, is that an opportunity or a challenge that we are so diverse? Is it easy, or, I mean, I'm sure it's not easy, but is it even plausible to create a unique identity for brand India given the diversity?
Yeah, so the challenge is that India is bigger than 24 countries of Europe, plus another about
so is it a
30,000
challenge or an opportunity?
So the challenge is that actually every state of India, every single state of India and the union territories of India have a unique opportunity to create their own brands in the global market space. And tourism can grow and prosper much like what Rajasthan has done, much like what Kashmir has done, much like what Kerala has done. If every state of India becomes a global tourism brand, India's tourism will grow by 10x simply by doing that. So, you know, tourism is the biggest job creator. Its multiplier impact is enormous. And every state of India must take this opportunity of really driving travel and tourism.
So ODOP, should that now progress from one district, one product to one district, one tourism? Is there merit in considering a services-based argument for ODOP?
So I don't think there's merit in one district, one tourism, but there's definitely merit in one state, one tourism, because tourism is a private sector play. So, you know, from the time you arrive to the time you depart, you get in touch with a number of private sector players. So you need to work in cohesion with all of them, and therefore you need to create state brands. And these are very large states. I mean, look at Uttar Pradesh. If it was a country, it would be the 5th largest country in the
Absolutely.
world. So, you have enormous strengths of... Bihar, for instance, can be a great Buddhism destination. UP can be a great Ramayan circuit.
True.
Even Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand have tremendous potential.
Mr. Kant, can you take us through the distinct effort made by Prime Minister Modi? A lot of prime ministers have addressed the issue of diaspora. There are two types of diaspora: economic opportunity diaspora, and one diaspora is result of colonialism, indentured labor, Mauritius, Suriname, even Myanmar. These are the places where people remember what it meant to be an Indian in India, in Bharat. So when we look for the Bhartiyata, and I'm not using the word Indian, Bhartiyata, Prime Minister Modi made a special effort in the last 9.5 years of his tenure to marshal that diaspora. How has that worked for creating a new brand Bharat and for marshalling those resources for betterment of Bharat?
So one, let me first say that there's been an enormous, huge effort by the Prime Minister on his every single trip to mobilize, to actually communicate one-to-one with India's diaspora and create a sense of pride, great sense of honor, a great sense of giving them the feeling that what India has achieved in the last 9 years. And it's important to convey to them what India has achieved. That we've done, it's important to understand what India has done in terms of size and scale. We've done 40 million houses in the last 8 years, which is like making one Australia. We've done 110 million toilets, which is like making one Germany. We've done 253 million piped water connection, which is like providing a piped water connection to everyone in Brazil. We've done 80,000 kilometers of road. That's 3 times the diameter of the earth. And we do 46% of the real-time fast payments in the world. We did last year, we did 126 billion real-time fast payment on the mobile, on the go. Without going to a bank or without using an ATM machine. China was next with 26 billion. That was the difference. The difference was 105 billion between India and China. Now, how do you convey this? The Prime Minister's used this opportunity to actually communicate directly with Indian diaspora, and they've now understood how India has grown and prospered. And that is why the Bank of International Settlement said that what India has achieved in the last 8 years would have actually taken India 50 years to achieve. Now, you've conveyed that to the Indian diaspora through this communication, direct communication between the Prime Minister and the non-resident Indians.
So is that soft power? I want to come back to the subject. Does soft power have the potential to exist minus hard power? And that brings me back to the packaging analogy that I had given you earlier. You've got to have a solid product that you can package and you can communicate. So is the role of soft power limited to communicating the story of our achievements?
So the important thing to understand is what the Prime Minister is saying, that we need to grow rapidly into a $10 trillion economy by 2035, become a $35 trillion economy by 2047. This is important.
That's right.
That is, economic growth is critical. Economic growth is critical because you need to raise the per capita income of every individual. When you do that, automatically your hard power grows. Soft power is critical because you need to converge and integrate your hard power with your culture, your civilization, your music. Look at what has happened in the Grammy Award. You had 5 Grammy Awards this year. Look at what Ricky Cage has done to India. Zakir won 3 awards. Ricky Cage has been winning Grammy Awards. So these are the people who add to India's soft power. They are really the brand ambassadors of India.
Prime Minister has also defined, I want you to take us through that, because the Prime Minister's understanding of soft power is also around India being a civilizational state, a young country and an old nation. It also centers around great pride in our ancient values. It's about Bhartiyata. Can you take us through that journey? You have been part of the Incredible India Project, Startup India Project, Make in India Project. It rests on one simple word, Bhartiyata.
So there are two dimensions to it. First of all, we must understand that we are a very young India. The demographics of India are in our favor. That's our average age of the population is 28 right now. Even when we are 120, 47, the average age will be about 34, 35. Even then, we'll be the youngest nation in the world. Second is that there is a huge civilizational strength to India. I mean, when India got colonized in 1700, India's contribution to global GDP was 24%. By the time we became independent, it had come down to 5%. What the Prime Minister is saying is that during our Amrit Kal period, we should accelerate the pace of our growth because we have very low dependency burden as far as demographics is concerned. That, to my mind, can never happen till you don't have a sense of pride, a great sense of honor about your own civilizational strength. That can never come from really copying the West. And that means that you must have a sense of pride of your own culture, your own art, your own music, and actually saying that this is India's civilization. Every young Indian must have a sense of pride on its own civilization. And when you have that inherent strength, you will drive India's growth story will be driven.
Sir, is pride enough? And I know that there is, of course, the $35 trillion target by 2047. You also just refer to that. And you're saying that you need better growth, faster growth to translate to better per capita income. But even at $35 trillion, you will have a per capita GDP, which would still be a fraction of what the developed world, gives its people today, given the vast size of our population. Obviously, we have our challenges, and with those challenges, we've got to grow even faster than, despite being the fastest economy of the world, is not enough for a country like India. So civilizational strength and attributes aside, there has got to be some scope of soft power, which I see being deployed by Prime Minister Modi, by the entire cabinet, and luminaries like you who worked on the India story for so long, where even hard economic issues like GDP are now pretty much, on the lips of every Indian. It's not something that was construed as a very hardcore economic subject. Today, thanks to perhaps soft power, these very hardcore economic concepts are now absolute lexical usage.
So just a couple of points. First, if you're a $35 trillion economy by 2047 means that you would have taken the per capita income of every Indian to close to about $17,500.
Compared to US, which still has about $76,000 per capita GDP.
Yeah. You see,
not comparing, just giving statistics.
It's very important to understand that we are a country of 1.4 billion people. That means you would have transformed the lives of 1.4 billion people in the world. That's important. Second is that India has got into a lot of sunrise areas of growth. This has never happened historically. If you look at it, it's never happened in India's history that you've started looking at electric mobility, you've started looking at battery storage, you're looking at semiconductors, you're doing mobile manufacturing.
Apple and Samsung, I think they're producing a lot more in India than China.
All these new areas of growth. And the third very critical thing is that if you look at the last 2 decades, all technological innovations that come from the western part of the world, whether it was Apple, Google, Meta, Amazon, and in China from Tencent and Alibaba, what India did was to create this open source, open API, globally interoperable model by which everybody can do a digital transaction. The private sector competes with global players. PhonePe competes with Google Pay here. And you have a number of unicorns. You have over 120 unicorns now giving you, what are they doing? They are giving you wealth creation. 35% of your stock market is being created by Zerodha, Gross, Upstock. You have young startups like GoDigit and Acco who are giving you insurance in 1 minute. So what has happened is that in India, on the mobile, on the go, you can do fast payment, you can do wealth creation, you can do credit, you can do insurance, all in 30 seconds to 1 minute. This doesn't happen anywhere in the world. Nowhere in the world does this happen.
Okay.
And nowhere in the world has any country lifted, what has India done? It has lifted 25 million people above the poverty line in the last 9 years. Nowhere else in the world has this happened. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Two quick questions. One, I have wrestled with. Is soft power a process or a product? And the second thing is, so if you look at the soft power approach of India, often we have seen that the soft power, because we have looked into the potentials of soft power in terms of branding. Second question is also about the challenges. It fails to change the behavior of the neighboring state because of political instability. Look at Afghanistan. We built schools, we built Salma Dam. The behavior did not change. Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's initiative of Kashmiriyat, free trade, movement of people, it didn't really change the sentiment of the Pakistani army. Or the Act East Asia policy from Narasimha Rao to Act East Asia of Prime Minister Modi. Now there's a fence coming up because the state is collapsing. So, two questions. Is soft power product or a process? And secondly, how do we deal in this context of soft power that just doesn't change the behavior of our neighboring countries?
So first of all, without getting into theoretical proposition, let me say that soft power is both a process, because it's evolutionary in nature. To build a brand is a time-taking process. And it eventually becomes a product. So India needs to build a lot of global brands. India's private sector needs to build a huge number of global brands so that they will add value to India's soft power in the long run. And the second, my response to your question is that we should continue to work very hard. We are living in a very complex neighborhood. No other country in the world has the neighborhood which India has in terms of Afghanistan, Pakistan, China. We should continue our efforts in good neighborly relations with everyone. And that is a process which will take time. And you will have political turmoil in neighborhoods all the time. Irrespective of this, we should continue to build person-to-person relationship.
Before the session was starting, both me, he's Kartik and I'm Kartikeya. We were talking about the investment which Prime Minister makes in context of tourism. Today he went for a deep sea dive at Beth Dwarka Sudarshan Setu. Prime Minister's investment in tourism is path-breaking. He makes it a point. Can you take us through what are the reasons why he's making such a personal investment when it comes to our own country?
And if I can just add one little 2 cents to that question, are we likely to see tourism don the flavor of nationalism, #Lakshadweep, or temple tourism, #Ayodhya?
So firstly, I don't think I've come across any speech of the Prime Minister where he hasn't dwelt at length on the tourism aspect and the immense potential of tourism. And that is simply because he believes that the cultural strength, the civilizational impact, the tourism products which India has, no other country in the world has. And he believes that this can be the biggest driver of India's growth. It can be the biggest employment creator. For every direct job that you create in tourism, you create 7 indirect jobs. So every state, and I repeat that, it's a biggest opportunity for job creation. India can create 25 million jobs in the next 5 years through travel and tourism sector. This is a potential which Prime Minister believes in, and he's driving the states to push for tourism. And that is why, wherever he goes, his first focus is on travel and tourism.
Sir, can't refrain from asking, what is it going to take to literally build Lakshadweep, connectivity to Lakshadweep, the entire infrastructure in Lakshadweep, and really make it a real threatening challenge to a country like Maldives?
So first and foremost, Lakshadweep is very, very fragile. It can't be mass tourism. The islands have very limited capacity. So you need to do carrying capacity of the islands, which Lakshadweep Island has done. It has bid out certain islands, defining the carrying capacity of these islands. We cannot make the mistakes which Maldives has made, which Mauritius has made.
Right.
Our tourism there has to be very, very carrying capacity based. It has to be very high value, low mass destination in these islands. It has to be based around sustainability. And sustainability has very, very high value in today's world.
Mr. Kant, we are talking about soft power, and not to talk about cinema would be a crime. Kartik.
Absolutely.
It would be a crime not to talk about cinema. So when we talk about soft power, what's the tip of the spear? Is it culture, yoga, Hollywood, food, tourism? How would you rate them, sir?
So India's soft power is a combination of many factors. It's cricket. It's India's unique culture. It's Bollywood. It's Tollywood. It's all your great cinema from southern part of India, which is extremely creative and is brilliant. Some of the most outstanding producers, directors, all come from southern part of India. In addition to Bollywood, which is totally astounding, but all this, India's traditional art forms, India's culture, all this combined together makes a very, very powerful soft power of India. All of this put together. And when you combine this with the hard power of India, which is growing at about 7.3% and accelerating to 9 to 10%, this great combination of hard and soft power together is what drives India's growth story forward.
Just one final question, sir, on cinema itself. Do you think, again, given the diversity that Indian cinema has, is it in our interest to create a brand India, brand Indian cinema, bereft of the binaries of Bollywood, Tollywood, etc.?
No, I don't agree with that.
Okay.
I don't agree with that because Bollywood by itself is a very powerful brand. The Tamil Nadu film world is a very powerful brand. The Malayalam cinema is a very powerful brand. Telugu cinema is a very powerful brand.
So is there no space for creating a unified Indian cinema identity?
No, it's like a mother brand being India and allowing the states to build their respective tourism brand, like Kerala has God's own country. The important thing we must all understand that there is a mother brand which is Incredible India, as far as the tourism world is concerned. But we are a very large country. If you're bigger than 24 countries of Europe, the number of products are so vast and varied. Allow the states to build their own brands. And that's important. That's what the Prime Minister is saying when he goes to Gujarat. Allow Dwarka. Dwarka itself is a great brand. Ayodhya is a great brand. Ayodhya can be one of the greatest Ramayana circuit brands in the world. Why diffuse it? So allow each of these brands to be built. We should have the confidence of India to allow brands to be built globally.
Competitive federalism in tourism. Competitive federalism in tourism.
And on this note, I would like to thank you and say that I think the sum and total of things is that it's the combination of the hard and the soft power which has been done under Prime Minister Modi's tenure, which is smart power, is the most defining thing.
Exactly. And, it's never soft power in isolation. It's a combination of both economic growth. We should have the absolute ambition to grow at 9 to 10% to be for the next 3 decades, to be a $35 trillion economy. We must build on our civilizational strength to build the soft power. And the third point that he made, make the states compete. The first year we did this in ease of doing business, Gujarat came number 1. Next year, Andhra beat Gujarat. Third year, Telangana beat Andhra and Gujarat. But the good thing was that the mineral-rich states of Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh, they scrapped a lot of rules, regulation to come 4th and 5th. And if the mineral-rich states of the eastern part of India start growing, India will grow not at 9 to 10%, India will grow at 11%.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Mr. Amitabh Kant. Sir, thank you so much for joining us here on What India Thinks Today.
All right, requesting Mr. Amitabh Kant to please stay on stage. We have to present him with some mementos. We have the Pashamkara stole, and of course we have the gift hamper from Da Milano. Meanwhile, the photographs can be taken, requesting the stole and the Da Milano gift hamper to be brought on stage to be presented to Mr. Amitabh Kant. Mr. Amitabh Kant, thank you so much for taking time out to be with us here on TV9. What India Thinks Today. Ladies and gentlemen, huge round of applause for Mr. Amitabh Kant.
All right, Krishna. What do we have next?
Well. That was a fascinating conversation with Mr. Amitabh Kant. People are still looking at him even as he takes our leave, because that's how engrossing and engaging that particular conversation was. We have a lot of them lined up.
Absolutely, Krishna.
More lined up for the day. But before requesting everybody to take their seats, because we have something very important that we want to talk about. And that is the conversations that we have on TV9 Group's English news platform.